Hello everyone, welcome to another talking video. I'm wearing the beanie again. No, I'm not cold, but we are going to be talking about the collision penalty system in Gran Turismo and whether it should be removed, especially with GT7 coming up. Maybe not removed, maybe even turned off, but let's talk about it then. So, we have all been victim to a random penalty. Here, there, everywhere. I don't know of anybody who's not been victim to at least one. You know, I try and drive as clean as possible. I've had a fair few in my time, especially this week with Daily Race C. The penalties seem a bit more extreme than normal for whatever reason that might be. It's obviously in the logic in the background. Now, with the penalty system, you know, you have netcode in there and potentially someone just maybe even bumper drafting you and you get a penalty. And it's not even your fault and you get a penalty. And it can become increasingly irritating. Which is why I personally think it should be removed. Especially for the FIA season coming up. You know, that's been confirmed. It's happening this year. It needs to be removed before that. Because I believe it creates negativity. And it makes you not want to play the game anymore. And Gran Turismo Sport is a fantastic game when you remove certain elements, in my opinion. And I say that with a factual sense to it. You look at all league races and custom races that happen in Gran Turismo, generally speaking, they have collision penalties turned off. You know, you can do that with the lobbies. Turn them off. And that way you only have the track limit penalties. Now, don't get me wrong, track limit penalties have another issue entirely, but collision penalties just seem to be creating negativity. How many times do we see tweets about the penalty system? I didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve that. Facebook posts. I didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve that. Why has this happened? And in reality, it doesn't really stop dirty driving, does it? You know, it doesn't stop it. If somebody wants to drive dirty, they can still do it. Okay? We have seen Momos, for example. Momos is a perfect example. You know, Momos, if he wants to drive dirty, he will just pile into you. You know, going into turn one, you will hit the barrier. You will more than likely get a penalty for hitting that barrier because there is a penalty system for hitting barriers. They get a penalty system for hitting you, potentially. They might not even. You know, we've seen that before as well. Because normally the car on the outside gets the penalty. And suddenly your race is ruined. Their race is ruined, but they were already planning on ruining the race anyway, irrespective. And then 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, however long later, an hour later, they're just back in the same race. Again, racing. And, in fact, that whole penalty system, there's no disincentive there. You know, they did the dirty. They got it out their system. They may do it again, but then they just continue racing. So it doesn't stop dirty driving. Does it stop bad driving? I would argue no, it doesn't. People continue to drive the same way consistently. People may try and get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. There's only so much you can do. You know, we've seen this week in Daily Race C. You go on the outside of anybody, and even if there's a slight bit of contact, there's penalties. Even if you have a slight little nudge somewhere, there's a penalty. You know, Consta had a 2-second penalty for something I wouldn't even consider a penalty. I had one at, where was it? Was it Garden? No, it was at the Oval. There was a slight touch. Nobody was impacted there at all. And I got a penalty, and that's race over. Race over. The penalty and the slowdowns really do ruin races, and very, very quickly. And then you could go, okay, well, you just said before, Tidge, you can just go and race again or race again. But why would I want to race again? Because I know the same thing could happen again. And again, and again. And then it just produces this negative vibe, which is not very good. Now don't get me wrong, a collision penalty system is very hard to code. Most games don't even try and put like a slowdown system in for collisions because it's impossible. You need human judgment to, you know, see what happened beforehand, afterwards, you know, everything that around that area. There could have been something that happened very early on in the race that's caused this problem. And potentially penalising the wrong person consistently is just going to force them away from the game and go elsewhere. Look at Soooo Collision, for example. They put blame on both parties. Both receive a safety rating hit, and that is it. You know, you could do that in Gran Turismo. Safety rating could still go down, but at least in that situation, you're not having a race-ruining penalty of 4 seconds. You know, yes, there was contact there. It's a non-contact sport. Okay, SR down. But at least we can continue racing rather than getting a 2 or 4 or 5 second penalty for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You know, systems like in iRacing where you normally report the driver for the collision. You can't really do that in Gran Turismo. You've got to remember this is one of the biggest games out there in terms of racing games. I think I read the other day it was over 9 million players have played Gran Turismo Sport. That's a lot of people. Like, even if 10% of them were online, 9,900,000, and let's just say 10% of them all put reports in, so that's 90,000 players all put in a report. You can't manage that. It's impossible. By the time they've gone through that, there's been 10 more races, and suddenly they're up to 300,000 reports. You know what I mean? It's huge. So you can't really have somebody there manning that. So you can't have people managing it. The collision penalty system is so hard to design anyway, and it just causes negative vibes, in my opinion. Just don't have any of them, and just have that blame both parties system with the SR potentially. Yes, you may still end up with DR resets, but at least you can change the safety rating system. I don't believe you can create the perfect collision penalty system with slowdowns. I just don't believe it. I don't think it's possible. I came up with an idea previously in another video about how I would do it, but again, that still doesn't solve all problems. Netcode comes into play here. Everyone has different internet speed. Everyone is talking to each other with their ping. It's different varying speeds there with MS, and what you see on your screen isn't necessarily what the server sees or what the other person sees. You are in a different position, and I don't believe you should be penalised for that either. Generally speaking, everybody does try and race as clean as they possibly can. Some people will make mistakes. Some people will accidentally run somebody wide too much. Sometimes people will accidentally outbrake themselves. We're human. We make mistakes. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. But I personally believe the collision penalties need to be removed from the daily races and the FIA races. Really just to bring that enjoyment, excitement and fun to Gran Turismo. And heck, we might even see it on Daily Race A this week because it's a rally. I suspect they are going to turn penalties off for that, because if they don't, nobody's going to do it, or it's going to be pure carnage and everyone's getting a DR reset. So I hope everyone's looking forward to that anyway. But what do you think of this then? So I'm saying we should remove it. What are your thoughts? Write down in your comments what are your thoughts with the collision penalty system, because I believe that, especially with the slowdowns, it's just not working. It really isn't working. It doesn't bring any positives to it at all. If somebody wants to drive dirty, they can drive dirty. But that is going to be it for me now, folks. A short video with some footage in the background that you will have seen of some penalties, some crazy penalties, some deserved penalties, some absolutely insane driving. But as I say, that is it for me now, folks. Make sure you do like the video if you did like that. As I say, I want to hear your comments, so do leave them below. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, as tomorrow, of course, is the weekly race guide, if you're watching this as it's live on Sunday the 14th, Valentine's Day. And I do love you, folks. But that is it. Au revoir, farewell, bye-bye. What? What the? Wait, what the? Wait, who? I don't believe it. I've got a penalty for unknown reasons to science.